Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A lot of people want to know when a vaccine for COVID-19 will be ready, but developing it may only be half the battle.
A battle over bud, and some people who depend on marijuana for medicinal purposes may be caught in the middle. Tonight, concerns are rising over a possible shortage.
A local mother killed in a hail of gunfire. It's the latest in a string of murders police in one small city are struggling to keep up with. Thanks for being with us here for the news at 6. Highland Park is made up of about 11,000 people in about 3 square miles.
But it's seeing homicide numbers more akin to a much larger city. Monique Green, the latest victim, she was found lying in the street last night near her home. Defender Sean Lay live with what Highland Park police are saying. And Sean, the details of what happened here to Monique Green are shocking.
In this particular latest homicide, absolutely 25 shots fired. This woman was hit 11 times. There was a homicide here just about 48 hours ago, and then 4 in total in the past 6 weeks. Detectives working around the clock, trying to get these people who are firing the weapons off the streets, trying to get justice for these families.
Caller states he heard some gunshots and now he sees somebody laying on the ground.
Another homicide in Highland Park at Rosa Parks and Grove just after 10 last night.
You got several rounds, female down, unresponsive.
Found in the street, 46-year-old Monique Green, a mom. She lives nearby. The number of shots fired at her just staggering.
25, I think, is what the number is coming in at.
How many?
About 25.
25 shots. Green was shot 11 times. It was dark. No one saw the person who killed Monique Green. Just 2 days ago, police say 19-year-old Yasser Bolaman from Redford was found shot to death in a car. Up until recently, there was just 1 homicide in Highland Park in all of 2020. Now, there have been 4 murders in about 6 weeks.
You got a lot of cases right now.
We take each case seriously, and they get 110% of our attention. So each one of them, each victim here is a family member, is a loved one of somebody. So we work these cases around the clock. We've been here since the inception of this one last night about 10 p.m. and nobody's gone home since.
August 21st, video the local 4 defenders obtained shows a man gunning down 39-year-old James Hill in the parking lot of the Parkside Coney Island. 4 recent murders, all tragic. What is the reason for this spike in homicides in Highland Park?
Do you have what you need? I mean, if this is an uptick that you're seeing, do you have enough people?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Are you concerned?
We need the people to help us. It's like any other crime. If somebody hears something and say something, speak up.
Chief Coney here in Highland Park saying that's the key, because these homicides are happening with very few witnesses around, in the dark or on a dark street or in a parking lot in the very early morning hours. So if people can pick up the phone and anonymously lead them in the right direction, that will give them a huge boost. We're live in Highland Park tonight. Sean Lay, Local 4 Defenders.
Sure would. All right, Sean.
In a Local 4 News update, a close associate of former Macomb County prosecutor Eric Smith pleads guilty to an embezzlement scheme. Benjamin Liston pleaded guilty to 3 counts of willful neglect of duty. Liston is a former Macomb County chief assistant prosecutor. Prosecutors say Liston used forfeiture money for items that benefited Smith and his staff. They accuse Liston of using money for his moving expenses to Arizona. Tomorrow, Eric Smith will be arraigned on a federal obstruction of justice charge.
Ford Motor Company pumping $700 million into one of its older plants, bringing hundreds of jobs to Metro Detroit in the process. Automaker announced today plans to build the Rouge Electric Vehicle Center at the historic Rouge factory in Dearborn. The new plant will create about 300 new jobs to assemble batteries and build an electric F-150, which will go on sale in 2022. Ford's F-Series pickup is the top-selling vehicle in the U.S., with nearly 900,000 of them sold last year.
All right, turning now to the coronavirus and its impact on our city and state. Michigan is reporting 9 more deaths from COVID-19, along with 829 new cases. The case count is up by about 150 from yesterday, but down about 100 from a week ago. There will be no in-person classes at Novi High School until at least Monday. The school made a temporary switch to online-only learning today after 5 students tested positive for COVID-19. School officials blame gatherings without masks and failure to socially distance. 19 Michigan businesses have been hit with citations for what the state is calling serious violations of COVID-19 safety guidelines. Several local businesses are on that list. And for more on the reasons for the citations, let's bring in Victor Williams. And Victor, I understand they're facing fines for this.
Yeah, lots of fines. And you know what, with the amount of phone calls that we get into the station with people complaining about businesses not adhering to certain protocol during COVID-19, it's really no surprise that all of these businesses are being cited all over the state.
We want to make sure these are safe workplaces, and that's going to protect workers, it's going to protect our communities.
But according to a new release from the Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration, several businesses all over the state have been cited for doing the exact opposite.
We just stopped in certain kinds of establishments. Many were the result of complaints. Many of these, as you'll see, are about $2,100 per the violation. And then most importantly is that the employer has to abate the hazard. They have to fix the problems before this case will be closed.
In total, the citations stack up to over $51,000. Some violators include Bell Tire in Shelby Township, Home Depot in Dearborn Heights, Riverfront Animal Hospital in Lansing, and so many more.
Every employer has an obligation to provide a workplace that's free from recognized hazards. And every employer needs to make sure that they're following those protocols.
Protocol that should be pretty easy to keep up.
Because the protocols are pretty simple. You need a plan, you need training, you need to do health screenings, face coverings, and social distance. So by and large, the mitigation strategies for COVID are easily achievable.
Now, for the customers who may go to a business and you see something that just doesn't look right or something that you know obviously is violating that protocol, what you can do is go over to MIOSHA's website, and from there you can leave an anonymous tip. Victor Williams, Local 4.
Hey, Victor, thank you.
Researchers around the globe are focused on finding a safe and effective coronavirus vaccine, but that's just the first challenge. Actually getting that vaccine then to the majority of the world's population, that will be a massive feat. Dr. Frank McGeorge here with a closer look at the preparations that are already underway ahead of having the virus in hand, or the vaccine in hand, Doc.
Yeah, Devin, you know, I know we have used the word unprecedented a lot this year, but it truly is. Millions of doses of the top vaccine candidates are already being produced. If the vaccines don't work, they will be thrown out. But if they do, those doses will be the first shipped around the globe.
Once a vaccine is approved, then what?
We have to go from there to actually having billions of doses of vaccine that can be delivered to people around the world.
Governments have committed billions of dollars to vaccine makers. The U.S. alone has ordered 900 million doses. Pfizer, in partnership with BioNTech, plans to make 100 million doses of its vaccine by the end of the year.
Well, it is absolutely not normal. It's unprecedented.
To try and meet that demand, Pfizer has set up separate manufacturing in the U.S. and Europe.
The competition is not each other, right? It really is working against the virus.
Meanwhile, companies like UPS are preparing to be ready to pick up, store, and deliver the vaccine.
We don't know who's going to be first. We know that Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca with Oxford University. We know that CanSino in China is doing well. We know that Novavax is moving fast.
Different types of vaccine need different transport and storage conditions. One of the biggest challenges is temperature.
A few months ago, when we started to get good information about what temperatures would be required for these vaccines, we made an investment in freezer farm technology. So we have invested in both the U.S. and Roermond in the Netherlands. It's one of our hubs near our Cologne air hub in Germany.
They've also put freezers in several of their depots around the world. Security is critical. UPS plans to have 24/7 tracking for every single vial.
We are taking very seriously the fact that our clients are counting on us to move every single vial and not lose a single one.
Now, you may remember back in 2009 during the H1N1 outbreak, local health departments held huge mass vaccination events where people waited in lines for hours on ends to get the vaccine. Now, obviously, that is not what we want people doing with this virus, so that will create another challenge of how we actually give these vaccines once we have them. Back to you.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Frank.
Well, as the 2020 battle for Michigan continues, supporters of President Trump held a rally in Shelby Township. The event was put together by the group Workers for Trump. They say the goal was to gather support for the president for the November election. In 2016, you remember, President Trump narrowly won Michigan by nearly 11,000 votes. Meanwhile, on Detroit's west side, a protest was held outside a campaign office for the president. Protesters carried tombstones and laid a casket in front of the building to highlight the number of lives lost due to COVID-19. The turmoil and heated political rhetoric of an election year has put many on edge, and when that happens, people start worrying about the economy and their investments. So when it comes to this election, should we worry about the winner tanking the stock market? Local 4 Business Editor Rod Maloney went looking for some answers.
So who is it that wins? Is it Democrats or Republicans that have returned more to investors over, say, the last 125, 150 years? Well, our friends at Executive Wealth Management have gone back, looked at the chart, and this is what they discovered. Under Democrats, the return is a positive 11%. And then for Republicans, the exact same 11%. So for all the things presidential candidates do to make the other side cringe, for instance, Donald Trump sparring with the CDC.
I think he made a mistake when he said that. It's just incorrect information.
Or Joe Biden's music when it comes to your money, the markets, and your financial security. Nathan Larson of Executive Wealth Management in Brighton says,
people were predicting that if Obama got reelected, that the stock market would crash. That didn't happen. In 2016, a lot of people were predicting that if Trump was elected, that the stock market would crash. That didn't happen. The stock market went up.
He adds, history tells us no one president causes a market crash merely by getting elected. Instead, he says we have to have a little faith in American businesses.
Money finds its way, and we're fortunate to live in a society where we have, free market capitalism, and our companies are very good at making money, whether there's a Democrat or a Republican, whether there's a lot of regulation or whether there's lower regulation.
So you're probably wondering, what is the secret? How do you stay calm and patient when markets get a little bit wiggy? Well, it's the same answer I've been giving for years. Get yourself a financial planner. Consult with that person, particularly a certified financial planner. Make a plan, do it in a calm time so that when things go a little bit awry, you're prepared. In Dearborn, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Because things will go awry. All right, Rod. Things are cooling back down a bit. Let's check in with Andrew.
That's right. Temperatures now in the 60s. Far cry from the 70s we had yesterday, but at least we had clear skies earlier today. Later on, it remains clear. Where do temperatures go from here? I've got your weather forecast, including the weekend, coming up.
A battle over bud right here in Michigan. I'll tell you why some patients who desperately need medical marijuana, why they may not be able to get that product very soon. It's coming up, new tonight.